All right, let's get into a story that sounds, well, it sounds like a magic trick, but trust me, this is a very real and very serious mystery. We're talking about politics, economics, and a whole lot of missing coal. We're headed to the Indian state of Meghalaya to figure this one out.
So this is the question that just hangs over this entire story, right? It's what everyone, from the courts to local observers, is asking. How on earth does something so massive, something that's supposed to be under lock and key by the government, just vanish? Like, poof, gone. You have to wonder, is this just a case of massive incompetence, or is there something else going on here? And just so we're all on the same page about what we're dealing with here, 4,000 metric tons, that's not just a number on a screen. I mean, try to picture it. We're talking about enough coal to fill hundreds, literally hundreds, of huge trucks, bumper to bumper. This isn't a small thing. It's a colossal amount of a valuable resource, and it disappeared while the state was supposed to be watching it. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this, you have to understand the two major players who are basically locked in this tense standoff. On one side, you've got the courts, and on the other, the state government itself. And yeah, you can see the conflict pretty clearly. In this corner, you've got the High Court of Meghalaya. They're stepping up, demanding answers, basically doing the job the government is supposed to be doing. And in the other corner, the state government. You know, the same people who were supposed to be guarding all that seized coal in the first place. And their response? Pretty much just flat denials. It's a classic showdown, really, with the judiciary trying to hold the government accountable. And all of this leads people to a pretty blunt conclusion. It's really stark when you think about it. I mean, when something this valuable disappears on your watch, you can't just say, oops. The logic is pretty simple, right? Either the state is completely incompetent, just totally unable to do its job, or it's complicit. It's one or the other. There's really no third option here. But here's the thing you have to understand. This whole vanishing coal incident, it's not a one-off. It's not just some random, isolated event. To really get what's happening, we've got to zoom out a bit, because this is just the latest chapter in a much, much longer and more troubling story about illegal mining that's been going on in the state for years.
So look at this timeline. You can see a pretty clear pattern of, well, defiance. For years, you've got the National Green Tribunal, the NGT, saying, hey, this kind of mining is banned. The High Court keeps handing down orders to stop it, and yet it just keeps happening. The missing coal in July, that was a huge flashpoint. But then, get this, just a few months later, authorities intercept over 1,000 trucks filled with illegal coal. So the problem isn't just still here, it's actually thriving.
And this is where the whole thing gets, well, economically, it's just baffling. Think about it. Meghalaya is losing out on huge amounts of tax revenue from all this illegal trade. But at the exact same time, the state government has to go out and borrow money just to pay its own employees. It's a complete paradox. All this wealth is coming out of the ground, but the state and its people are somehow getting poorer. How does that even work? So why? Why does a situation like this even happen? Well, there's actually a name for it in economics. It's called the resource curse. Let's break that down. Yeah, the resource curse. It's this really weird kind of backwards idea that having a ton of natural resources, like coal or oil or diamonds, can actually be bad for a place. You'd think it would bring wealth and prosperity, right? But instead, it often ends up fueling corruption, making the government weaker, and just causing a lot of economic chaos. And Meghalaya, it's like a textbook example of this. Step 1, you've got the valuable resource, tons and tons of coal. Step 2, you've got weak governance, where the laws aren't enforced and the whole system seems compromised. And what does that lead to? Step 3, a situation where all the profits from this illegal trade are funneled to just a few people, while the state gets nothing and the environment pays the price. It's the resource curse, playing out right in front of us.
Okay, so now that we have all that context, the history, the economics, let's bring it all back to the core of the problem, because this whole mess leaves us with some huge, critical questions that just haven't been answered. First up, accountability. I mean, come on, you lose hundreds of truckloads of something this valuable, you'd think someone, somewhere, would be held responsible. So the question is simple. Has a single high-ranking official been suspended? Has anyone actually faced any consequences for this spectacular failure? All right, next, let's follow the money. The state's own budget shows it's collecting revenue from something called a coal cess. That's basically a tax on coal. But wait a minute. If coal mining is supposed to be banned, then where is all this coal that they're taxing coming from? It just doesn't add up. It feels like they're saying one thing on paper, but doing something completely different in practice.
And that brings us to an even bigger question. If the government is losing money and the environment is getting wrecked, who's actually benefiting from all this? Who wins when the whole coal trade is declared illegal? Well, when you push a trade like this underground, it doesn't just stop. It just means the people who can operate in the shadows, outside the law, they're the ones who get all the profits.
And that leaves us with one last and maybe the most important question to think about. What if the ban isn't really about stopping mining? What if it's actually a tool? A way to push all the small legal operators out of the picture so that a powerful, well-connected few can have a complete monopoly on the trade. A monopoly where they don't have to follow any rules or pay any taxes. It's a thought that kind of changes how you see the whole thing, doesn't it?